We're going to go ahead and get started. I apologize for the delay, but we're all set, so we're going to get going. I first want to say good morning to everyone and welcome you here for the 6th annual Women in STEM Breakfast. It is truly an honor to stand before you today as we celebrate the incredible achievements of the young women in our FIRST programs, as well as honor our 6th annual Reaching for the Stars Award recipient. I want to extend a warm welcome to all of our distinguished guests, FIRST Board of Directors, and of course, our outstanding group of semifinalists for the Women in STEM Scholarship. Your presence here today is a true testament to the collective commitment we share in promoting diversity, equality, and excellence in STEM. The schedule today is as you see before you, so welcome presentation of the award to our award winner. Dr. Sunita will be making some remarks. We're going to have a panel discussion as opposed to a typical presentation. And this is an opportunity for our young semifinalists to interact with those who've gone before them in order to ask questions that are dear to them in terms of what's next for their chapter. We'll recognize our semifinalists who are all here today, present our scholarship awards, and then finally thank everyone for attending. So without further ado, thank you so much for being here. I would like to first start by introducing our 6th annual Reaching for the Stars Award winner, Dr. Sunita Satyapal, the Director for the U.S. Department of Energy's Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Technologies Office. With over 25 years of experience spanning industry, academia, and government, Dr. Sunita oversees more than $1.6 billion in hydrogen and fuel cell research, development, and deployment activities. She also coordinates a remarkable $9.5 billion in hydrogen-related initiatives across the entire Department of Energy. She is a distinguished scholar and contributor to her field with publications in Scientific American, 10 patents, numerous recognitions, including 2 Presidential Ranks Awards. Dr. Satyapal is a driving force in promoting sustainability and clean energy solutions on both a national and global scale. Please join me in welcoming the accomplished Dr. Sunita Satyapal.
Thank you so much, Shelley, and thank you to everyone. It really is an honor, and I'm really humbled. This was a big surprise when I got the email, so a big thank you to all. But I do want to say that the award, I'm only accepting this award, not for myself, but really for the whole team, and ask some of my office members who are here to stand. Maybe you can talk with them as well later. But again, it's such a team effort. Stand, Christine. And they are such a dedicated and talented bunch. And one day, one of my office members said to me, I'll never forget this, and he's retired now. He said, many people have kind of the Sunday night blues. You have to go to school on Monday, you have to go to work. And he said he just can't wait till Sunday night because he knows that Monday he gets to go to work. And so it's such a dedicated team. And definitely want to thank my parents, and I'll talk more about them. But the main thing I wanted to say quickly is, first of all, big congratulations to all the students here and the parents. And we really need you. So when you think about the last 9 years were the hottest years on record. In fact, last year it broke all records. I mean, everyone sees the fires, the floods, the climate crisis. And in fact, if you look at the data, this is real data from NASA, every decade in the last 4 decades was hotter than the one before that. And you look at the world around us, unfortunately, you see all the climate issues, the fires, the floods, resilience, the economic situation, the strife, the war. I mean, this is such a critical time in history. And so my main message is we really need all of you. And so a big thank you. We have high hopes for you in terms of reaching for the stars. And then finally, what I wanted to mention was, in the spirit of STEM, share something that very few people on the planet have seen. And I brought an actual hydrogen fuel cell mock electrode. And as how many people, if you can raise your hand, know about hydrogen and fuel cells? Okay, very few. So I have to say, when I came from industry, I've done many different things, and I came from industry to government, and some people thought I was moving to NIH, National Institutes of Health. And I was always really perplexed, but it turns out they thought fuel cells were the same as stem cells. So the point is that there's not enough information. So how do we, disseminate the information, tell people about hydrogen and fuel cells? It's the most abundant element in the universe. It's often called the Swiss Army knife of energy. The fact you can make it from almost anything. You can take water, use solar, wind, split water into hydrogen and oxygen. You can use it to make chemicals, fertilizer. We already use a lot of hydrogen. And under President Biden, we announced a national strategy. So this is really exciting news. And it's not just our strategy, it's all of your collective strategy. And for us to get to net zero in terms of climate and CO2, hydrogen is one part of that portfolio. So just a quick note, again, for many of you who might want to go into this field, if you step, and they're commercial fuel cell cars. In fact, we have one at DOE. We have a station in DC. And when you step on the gas pedal or hydrogen pedal, hydrogen will flow on one side and then air flows on the other side. And there's no combustion, there's no pistons or flame. It's much more efficient than combustion. Your car, they're used in trucks and stationary fuel cells. And and the only product is water vapor, so completely clean, no pollution from the tailpipe. And they're modular, scalable. This size in the car is about this big, 300 of these cells, small enough to be in your laptop. The largest in the world is in Korea, powering a building. So lots of opportunity. And we've been funding this R&D for decades. And just to give you an idea, this size, in terms of the energy, the power output, is enough to power a light bulb. So really exciting work. We still have a lot more to do. So this is just, one example of the type of technology you can go into for all the students out there. So very, very exciting. And my main message is really, how do we accelerate progress? And this is a challenge of a lifetime. So you can make a difference for all of us, for the planet. And no pressure, of course, but we really need you. And so you can reach for the stars. I just want to mention, since this was first, there's Dean Kamen there. I got to meet him and go to Global first in Singapore. And the whole competition was about hydrogen. It was a Hydrogen Horizons competition. So some of you hopefully will maybe even get a chance to go to Singapore. And then when the president announced the $7 billion for the hydrogen hubs, that was a really, really exciting time. So congratulations to all of you. So you can reach for the stars and maybe even literally help us get there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. So thankful you're here.
Thank you.
All right. And so now we're going to move on and move into our panel discussion. So I'd like to introduce our panelists. In addition, I'd like to welcome Ning Yu, representative from Leidos. Thank you, Ning. Alexandra Johnson from DOE, Department of Energy. And then lastly, Kelly Thomason from Dominion Energy rather. Thank you. And so now what we'll be doing is Remember to push the little microphone button. There you go.
Good morning. My question.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I have to say that the main one is my mother. And she is retired now, but she was a physics professor. And that was really unusual back in those days. She got a PhD in physics. She went through a lot of challenges. At one point, this before I was born, they lived in Afghanistan. She was so bored, she offered to teach for free, but they wouldn't allow her to teach. And in fact, it's really sad, but now it's probably even worse in Afghanistan. So I think, definitely in terms of everything she went through, but in terms of, avoiding reverse discrimination, I also want to highlight my father. And he actually came from India on a cargo ship before I was born without a penny and ended up eventually getting a PhD from Michigan State University in agriculture and soil sciences, and again, both PhD science folks, and eventually ended up becoming a director at the United Nations Development Program. So it was always about giving back to the community, to developing countries, alleviating poverty. So for both of them, they saved so much so that me and my sisters could go to school to get exposed. Both one sister's an astrophysics professor, the other's double engineer. So we're all geeks in the family. But to answer your question, it's really both my parents were the main source of inspiration.
All right. And I believe Kavya, you're asking our next question.
My question is for Kelly. In your opinion, how do you believe we can create a more inclusive environment that embraces the diverse experiences of women in STEM? And how do you believe leaders and organizations can take steps to foster greater inclusivity?
Okay. I think that's a really great question, and I tend to be more optimistic than maybe even I should be at this point in my life and my career. But I do think that we're moving in the right direction on this. I think this room is a testament to that. And we look around and see all of these amazing faces starting their education and career journeys and being very successful in them. And so I tend to think that generally, hopefully, the world is moving in the right direction there, where we do see the majority of people really wanting to foster inclusivity and to make more opportunities. And I think actually, as I kind of reflected on this, that corporate America is a good place to look for examples on this, where I think it's like 90% of Fortune 500 companies have ERGs, employee resource groups, which are, if you're not familiar, are sort of voluntary employee-led organizations that kind of affinity groups that are based around ethnicity, gender, interests, kind of common traits, and they, like at Dominion Energy, we've got an African American employee resource group, an AAPI ERG, Latino, women, Native Americans. That group actually just started. It's really exciting. Veterans, there's a number of different groups, and allies are welcome to join. They're supported by leadership in the company, and it's a way to kind of create a safe space, but also kind of a mentoring network and a way to kind of come together and share concerns and advocate for yourselves, and to be supported by leadership, and to have that voice and that kind of awareness and visibility. And I think that's really important. And I think events like this, right? Anytime that we can share stories, hear from those who are doing great work already, and share your passions. And I was thinking about this morning that I feel really lucky. First of all, I'll say I'm not NSTEM. And so much respect and kudos for all of you and the great work that you do. But I was thinking about how even not being in a STEM field, how many women in STEM events I've been fortunate enough to go to over the last 5 and 10 years. Right, the Science Museum of Virginia does a really great breakfast. I was involved with the Virginia Council on Women, and they do a scholarship program for women in STEM that they've done for over 10 years now. And there's so many good groups, and I think encouraging that and just continuing to tell our stories and is really important.
Great. Xenia?
My question is for Alexandra. What advice would you give your younger or high school student self? If you could do it again, what would you do differently?
Thank you for the question. This came up, I just got my PhD last year, so I've been more in a reflective period of my life over the last couple years. And I think looking back, I wish I learned how to let go in more ways than one. I think if I had learned to let go of, kind of superficial things like, oh, this one bad grade or this one bad day or this one bad performance on something. And I feel like we have a tendency to rack up all the mistakes we make, but we never congratulate ourselves for the things that we've done, leading to increased imposter syndrome, as in you feel like you don't belong in a certain place. You feel like you're a fraud in grad school, in a job, whatever. And I think if I had learned that earlier, which, hindsight's 2020, I would be a lot less stressed going through the process where I did all that stress and I still got where I wanted to be and it didn't do me any good. I would just be in the same place but happier sooner if I had just learned that at an earlier age, as well as just learning to let go of what you think you're supposed to be. I ended up in the Department of Energy after going through a PhD and thinking, well, I need to go be a research professor, even though deep down I kind of knew that wasn't right for me. But it's kind of like, well, I'm the first PhD in my family and I'm also a role model for other people. And if I can't do this, then I'm showing that other people can't do this and they're going to use me as a bad example for other Black women in STEM. And I think it's just, I've accomplished enough and I've accomplished a lot and I need to acknowledge that. And I think if I had just let go of what I think I need to do, I ended up finding a job that I really love now where I get to work on diversity and inclusion in the Department of Energy, and doing stuff like this with my boss. I just wish I could see, if I could look back at myself and be like, it's going to be fine. I know everyone says that, but really though, it's going to be fine. And just letting go just releases so much stress and just allows you to kind of ebb and flow the way that you're supposed to. So, yeah.
Thank you. Nithya?
Hi, my question is for Miss Yu. What has your favorite activity been in your profession and why?
Thanks for the question. So yeah, I think it's just at the early career, when I graduated from graduate school, or even when I was graduate assistant, what I enjoy the most is mostly the middle part of a project. So which is you get your hands down, you done coding, you give a problem by your professor, right? Or a senior person, and then you do the hands-on, you make things happen. That's the part I enjoy the most. But then I guess when your career is more mature, I feel like I enjoy the whole process, but I enjoy the beginning and the end a little bit more. So basically the beginning is we get to talk to different clients or different field people from health, from military, etc. You learn the totally new workflow, and then you try to help them to decompose the problem and say how do we solve them step by step. I feel like that's the part I spend most of the time nowadays. I actually enjoyed a lot, and then you found the solution to align with the strategy you come out with, and then the most exciting part, of course, is also the end. When people come back and tell you, say, well, we used our technology, we used the approach. I think one of the program I was in is one of the data program. So it's actually we developed some retrieval as well as graph analytics tools. And then at one of the PI meetings, so I think there's a few FBI officers come to the meeting at the end and presented and say, okay, because of work the whole team, not only our team, the all team have done, we were only able to, I think, having 2 cases to go to the court regarding human trafficking and sex trafficking. But because of the tool they use, they can collect evidence much faster. They're able to go about 2 cases a year to hundreds of thousands. So it wasn't the most advanced technology we can develop, but then it's definitely most impactful. So those are definitely the most exciting moments as well. I think for, I guess, for the younger STEM, I think it's mostly enjoy the whole process. You may find yourself enjoy the middle part at the beginning, which is totally fine. You have all the hands-on, but then over your whole career, you will be able to enjoy like basically the end-to-end process and just have fun. Thanks.
Question, and I have to say, in terms of challenges that I faced, I've faced a lot of challenges, probably too many to talk about in a couple of minutes. But besides some of the really blatant ones, there's some that are very subtle. And so maybe just to mention, when I think a lot about the brain, and it's not just about women, but if you think about it, if you look at like, if everyone could just take a minute, a second, and just look at like the people around you. And when your eyes see another human being, your brain immediately processes three things. One is gender, like you immediately, you don't even have to think about it. Your brain just knows it. The second is age, like if it's a high schooler or if it's 50 somebody, you don't have to think about it. It's just immediate. And then the third is a little more subtle, but it's something about ethnicity, like something about the external packaging. And so your brain, you don't even realize it, but your brain is processing that. And so when people see you, they don't know, again, that those are like subtle challenges. And same with your ears. When your ears hear a person speaking, your brain immediately, again, you don't even realize this. You don't have to think about the language. You know what they're saying. But your brain, listens to the accent and makes all these judgments. You're not even listening to what the person's saying, but all this stuff is going on in your background. And so those are some of the kind of subtle challenges that people face, when you're there, when you're speaking, when you're trying to progress in your career. But in terms of advice, I would say, and I've had, probably hundreds of employees over the years when I was in industry and just many different things I've done. And sometimes people are really, really interested in their career and progressing, and it's all about climbing the ladder. For me, it was not really that career motivated. It was more about how can you make a difference and, save the planet, save the environment. For example, I think there are projections that 1 million species, animal and species could be extinct in the next few decades, things like that, the energy situation. And so, but some people, when they were so focused on just the career, I would always say that you can't build a tree house without a tree. And the most important thing in my experience was to try to make sure you have big, deep roots and really focus on the work that you love. And make sure that it's sort of like if you go to the gym, you don't ask the trainer to lift your weights. Like we have to do the weightlifting and do the work. And that's why it's so nice to see all the students and the fact that you're really doing the work and really enjoying it. So I think that tenacity and that ability to keep going and really focus on what you love is probably the best advice I have.
Thank you. Patty?
So my question is for Kelly. And so do you have any mentors that played a significant role in your success? And if so, how did they impact your career/education?
I thought that this was a great question for Abby to ask because I got to be part of the interview panels. And so I'm just so excited to see all of you in person too, and to have learned all of these great stories. But you have done a lot of mentoring work in your program. If I remember correctly, growing it from a very small program, Abby's in a rural area, from like 2 kids to 10 kids, I think. And right, am I making that up? Yes, sorry. Specifically 2 women students to 10 women students, which is amazing. And you've just done really great work kind of bringing people along. And I say that because I think mentors come in sort of all shapes and sizes, right? And I have had people in my professional life who had very official sort of mentor-mentee relationships. And I don't know that I've ever had such a defined mentorship myself. But that said, I've had a lot of really wonderful mentors and influences in my life. And I think I've provided the same to a lot of interns and younger staff that have worked with me before. And so certainly in high school, sort of had the same thing, right? Like great friends who kind of pushed me or guided me towards a path of community engagement that has really set the tone for my career, and college professors and lots of positive influences. But I think the one person who I give a lot of credit for my kind of success moving forward was my first boss when I was an intern at the end of college, because I had at that point kind of figured out what I was going to do next, or so I thought, and what job I was going to have, and going back to school. And she really pushed me to think about options that I hadn't thought about before. And I think that was really important, to keep your mind open. And that's advice that I give to a lot of young people in my life now. Is it's really great to kind of have a plan and have goals and be working in a direction, but make sure that you keep your mind open to possibilities of kind of unexpected opportunities that might come up that maybe aren't what you're envisioning, but could be great opportunities for you to make a difference. So keep your mind open is kind of that advice that I took that has shaped me.
Thank you. Sarah?
Hello, and thank you guys for being here today. My question is for Alexandra. What inspired you to go into the STEM field, and how did you continue to push through challenges?
I can't list all of the challenges in 2 minutes, but I'll do the best I can to go over just like the general themes that I found through the last, like, I guess, 10 years, starting from, undergrad to where I am now. I was kind of one of just the typical stories. I had a science teacher I really liked in high school, and I liked science. I liked the organization, and I liked the way that scientists think. I like the way that really anybody thinks. I really liked the way that I think when I was doing science, chemistry specifically. And I pursued it in college, took an organic chemistry class, fell in love with it, fell in love with those teachers. I don't think, continuing off of the mentorship, that a lot of my favorite teachers happen to be the classes that I ended up pursuing as a career, which is why mentors are so important. And as far as challenges go, some of the biggest challenges were things that were internal and were exacerbated by unhealthy things in my environment outside of myself. So like imposter syndrome, the feeling of, I don't belong here. They're going to find out that I shouldn't have been here and it was a mistake and I need to keep proving that I'm supposed to be here. Or, I'm feeling anxiety and it's affecting my performance, but it's not anxiety. I'm just being lazy, just things that are, I'm glad to see younger people at a time are focusing more on mental health, because I don't think I had the language to describe the things I was going through. As a grad student and an undergrad, I luckily had a lot of great, support networks and things that helped me through that. But honestly, I think it was just realizing the fact that you can't do everything by yourself and you shouldn't be expected to. And I think particularly, as a Black woman, you kind of learn on the whole, you got to stand up for yourself because no one else will. And that's great to an extent, but I think I'm glad that we're getting to a time where many people before me made the sacrifices so that I don't have to do it by myself. And I wish I had learned to lean on people sooner. And I wish I was more trusting sooner. Granted, there are also people who are harmful in my life, and I'm hoping to make changes in the spaces that I've been so that there are less harmful people, so that people can be trusting in the environments that they're in. So I would say always check on yourself. Always, realize that you're a person first. You're human that makes mistakes. That this is not supposed to be negative. It's just I'm thinking of the challenges. I had also a lot of great experiences. I think I kept thinking my mental health, I didn't put it as a priority the same way I would put a job task as a priority. And it didn't change until I was like, I will not get better until I do it like a job. Like I will go to the doctor. I will go to sleep. I will go eat proper meals every day. And I think that's something, kind of going back to the first question, things I could tell myself, please go to sleep. You can't put off exhaustion because it'll affect you through your life. So sleep now. So, yeah.
And then our final question is from Rebecca.
Hi, my question is for Ning. I'm sure you get asked all the time what got you interested in STEM, but I'm wondering what kept you interested and continues to keep you interested in the STEM field.
Thank you for the question. I guess we'll end with exciting tone. So yeah, so I mean, I think what's still keep me in the field and get excited is still like the original reason, which is like basically human curiosity, right? So like when you're young, you have so many questions, but then you need to find a way to find the answer or close to the answer. And usually science is the truth. So I think that's probably everyone in this room, like we all have the curiosity. We all want to be able to solve the problem, and the process of solving the problem is all exciting. And then I think what's keep me in the field and still getting excited because there's so many new things coming out every day. So I'm major in information science and then especially natural language processing. As you can see, like last year, there's ChatGPT, there's other new technology coming out, new application come out all the time. There's always new things that we can learn and we can try. And then it's getting even closer and closer mingles with daily life. My now 8 years old, so she actually is starting to ask me question about ChatGPT, like, okay, mommy, what is this? Like, how can I use this for? And we try different experiments, ask her to do different prompt, and then how they give response. So it's like, I think at this age or this career, I enjoy it's more like part of the life. So to give example, so my kids have the tendency of multitasking, right? So she likes to brush her teeth while reading the book at the same time. So I'm like, this is so not efficient. I'm like, well, you should just do one thing at a time and then do next. She's like, nah, I'll just do it's the same thing. So we decided to do a like a bar chart, whatever, right? So for 2 weeks, every day she does it simultaneously one day, and then she separate one day, and then we record the time, etc. At the end, she can do the chart and say, okay, overall, what do you think? Right? So just things like that. And the other probably oftentimes people find funny is my husband's an econ professor. So he's all into numbers, etc. And every month or so at home, we will have this finance meeting, right? So he will basically do the presentation and tell us like where things are. It's just like my daughter, even before she learns about like Venn diagram, etc., she sort of already got from the daily routine and in the house. And we build like small robots, etc. I think it just at the beginning it's more like a career that I got excited about the technology that's relevant for my project, for how to solve the project, win the contact, etc. At the end, at this point, it's basically part of the life. I use it for education, for my kids and for the people I mentee, and also, just basically seeing people learn together. Just end of opportunities. So although my domain is information science, but as I said earlier, answer the other question, you get to learn about almost every other's career in terms of, okay, how do they take in clinical notes? How does the IT call center take their calls and basically routing the assignment, etc. So through at least my career, I get to actually have the lens of different people's projects as well as tasks. So yeah, I think that's most exciting, and I hope like all of you will enjoy what you're learning. But then, just keep in mind there's endless opportunity. As echo to Kelly, I think there's endless opportunities out there. Just keep your eyes open. Thanks.
So I just would like to say thank you to our panelists, Dr. Sunita, Kelly, Alexandra, and Ning, for coming up here and sharing their wisdom and expertise with our semifinalists and the rest of you. So if we could just give them a round of applause. Thank you so much, ladies. You can return to your seats if you like. All right. And now it is time to recognize our Women in STEM semifinalists. These young ladies have demonstrated excellence in the spirit of first in a way that was both inspiring and memorable. Their achievements are nothing short of amazing. Help me in celebrating our 8 semifinalists. As I say your name, if you will, stand up. We're going to give you a round of applause, and at the end of the presentation, I have a certificate for you. So Farah Berry, please stand. Nithya Vinod. Rebecca Showalter, Abigail Lafon, Zenia Haroon, Ibtihal Hanna, Laura Hulskamp, and Kavya Shah. Ladies, you're a remarkable group of young women. You were able to make it from a tremendous amount of applicants to where you stand today. And so you should take this as a wonderful achievement that you are truly the role models of FIRST programs in the First Chesapeake area. So thank you. All right, you can. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the scholarship winners. So we are awarding 4 scholarships to our semifinalists with a scholarship award sponsored by Dominion Energy today. So I'm going to, in the spirit of FIRST, read a little information of the young person and then announce their name at the end, because this is how we do FIRST awards at all competitions. So here we go. This young lady is a lover of logic and problem solving. She's always thinking of ways to spread robotics and FIRST to younger students. Her maturity and reflectiveness stood out to our interview panel. Congratulations to Farah Berry. This young lady is an advocate for STEM for both youth and female. She represents women in STEM across our district and among national audiences. She knows the importance of advocacy at the national level and represented women even at our state capitol. Congratulations to Laura Hulskamp. This young lady is a force in rural communities that are sometimes overlooked. She focuses on being genuine and teaching others through mentorship and role modeling, spreading STEM through local outreach starting at the youngest ages. Her confidence and belief in self-improvement really stood out to our interview panel. Congratulations to Abigail Lafon. And then finally, our last scholarship winner is someone who really stood out as a leader and really represented this idea of women. Oh, I forgot to turn it. Take a picture of that. I'm so sorry. That's important. This last young lady is truly a leader, captain of her team, and to quote her, a leader from within. Her advocacy for young women and girls across our district and beyond started as a simple outreach and grew to a program called 2K Coding. Her impact goes far beyond the boundaries of STEM in her backyard. Congratulations to Kavya. So now I would like to lastly simply say we are so proud of all the accomplishments and hard work, and we look forward to seeing you all continue to grow, develop, and break barriers as you continue your journey into the post-secondary chapter. I would like to invite Christy Neller, the president of our the First Chesapeake Board of Directors, and she's going to leave us with final thoughts today. Thank you so much.
First of all, I hope you brought a big enough vehicle to take those checks home because they'd fit in my car. Congratulations to everyone who's here today. I know all the folks here, everyone is here to support the students and what you're accomplishing. I walk away from this. I've been involved in this since the very beginning, and I can tell you, meeting the candidates through the interview process, I walk away the same way I'll walk away today, inspired and truly humbled by what they're accomplishing. And I need to step up my game a little bit, I think, when I meet each one of these inspiring students. So you've got so many people around you. I hope you look around this room and know that everyone here is here to support you, to encourage you in your growth and development and what you will accomplish, not just today and not just this morning, but for days to come. We're all here if you're a phone call away, if you need something. I'm excited about, FTC is just wrapping up, FRC is just kicking off. So make sure you get out to a competition if you haven't. And one thing that I was reminded of today as I listened to the panel is you're never too old to learn and you're never too young to lead. So please continue what you're doing. And thank you to Leidos for sponsoring us today. What a wonderful venue. I'd like to also recognize our board members who are here. If you'd stand quickly. I can tell you they are selfless volunteers who take their time out, not just this morning, but all year long to support the efforts for these students and are really passionate about what we do here. So thank you to them. I would like the panel and the board members to come up for a quick picture at the end. And I'd also like to, again, thank Dominion Energy for sponsoring these scholarships. And one more time, congratulations to all the students today. Thank you for coming out. Please drive safe.